President Trump calls it a bullseye. Iran calls it an act of war. The fallout from a U.S. strike on Iran's nuclear sites and the threat Tehran is now making. Plus, gunfire outside a Sunday service and the quick-thinking church staffer who stopped what police say could have been a massacre. And deported by mistake, now back in U.S. custody, facing smuggling charges. Why a federal judge just called the government's case shaky at best.
The stories that matter, clear and credible, from across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. This cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days.
The U.S. has entered the fight, striking 3 of Iran's key nuclear sites over the weekend. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lauren Keenan, in for Craig Negrelli. On his Truth Social platform Sunday night, President Trump said strikes cause monumental damage, adding obliteration is an accurate term. Iran is vowing retaliation. U.S. officials say more than 125 aircraft took part in Operation Midnight Hammer, including 7 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. Iran says it reserves all options, including targeting U.S. bases or closing the Strait of Hormuz, a move that could shake the global economy. According to NBC News, Iran privately warned Trump before the attack, threatening to unleash sleeper cells inside the U.S. If strikes went forward, Trump has warned of more strikes if Tehran retaliates and has even floated regime change, writing, "If the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change?" A comment at odds with what top officials have said publicly.
You don't have to like the regime. There are a lot of regimes around the world that we don't like, okay? But in this particular case, what we are focused on is not the changing of the regime. Okay, that's up to the Iranian people if they want to do that, but that's not what we're focused on. Our national interest is about one thing, and that is Iran not getting anywhere near the capability to weaponize and have nuclear weapons. They're not going to get anywhere near that capability.
Meanwhile, the State Department has issued its first worldwide caution alert in more than a year, warning of possible demonstrations against U.S. citizens and interests abroad. The alert makes no mention of this weekend's strikes, but notes that the broader Israel-Iran conflict has disrupted travel and closed airspace across parts of the Middle East. Weapons and Warfare host Ryan Robertson joins me now with more on what's happening there in the region. Now, Ryan, what are you hearing about what sort of response the U.S. can expect?
Yeah, Lauren, the Strait of Hormuz is kind of the obvious answer that everybody's kind of pointing to. The Iranian parliament voted yesterday to move to close that Strait of Hormuz, but it's actually a task of the Iranian military to actually do that. The Iranian National Security Council will be the one to actually move on closing that strait. If that happens, expect oil prices to go up pretty significantly. If oil prices go up, then everything goes up, groceries, all that sort of stuff. About 25% to 30% of the world's energy and oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. The United States doesn't get a bunch of oil from there, but a lot of our friends and allies do. And China also gets a lot of oil from Middle Eastern countries. Cyber hacking could be another issue because the Iranians do have a very sophisticated cyber network. But that's probably not as expected as closing the Strait of Hormuz.
And Ryan, how does the U.S. go about assessing the damage without boots on the ground?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's really kind of the big question of the day. Satellite imagery is not going to be enough. Everybody knows that. But the U.S. has access to a wide breadth of different intelligence sources. So there's signal intelligence, monitoring different communications within the Iranian regime. There's human intelligence, people on the ground, and we share intelligence with the Israelis. They had Mossad agents operating before the strikes even started. They have Mossad, so the Mossad is like the Israeli spies. They've been implanted within the Iranian regime for years. So some spies might actually be, the ones going in by Iran to inspect these sites. We don't know that yet. But boots on the ground is going to potentially be the only way to really check that. Is it going to be American boots? Most likely not. But we could use, boots on the ground in the Iranians and just monitor their signal intelligence and and those sorts of sources to find out exactly how destructive the strikes were.
Okay, that was Ryan Robertson, anchor for Weapons and Warfare. Ryan, thank you. Israel is escalating its offensive against Iran, firing a new round of strikes at Tehran and other cities early this morning. The overnight attacks targeted airports, missile launcher and storage sites across Iran. Israeli officials say more than 15 Air Force jets hit the western city of Kermanshah, destroying surface-to-surface missiles aimed at Israel. The IDF also claims to have struck 6 airports nationwide, destroying 15 Iranian fighter jets and helicopters. Meanwhile, missiles fired from Iran have prompted emergency warnings in Israel, with civilians urged to stay in protected spaces. Israel's electricity company says strikes have knocked out power in parts of the south, leaving thousands without electricity. A terrifying scene at a Michigan church and a tragedy stopped by quick-thinking heroes. Police say a gunman wearing a tactical vest opened fire outside a community church in the city of Wayne just after Sunday service began. Video shows the chilling moment it all happened. The crowd still clapping from the end of a live-streamed event when shouting breaks out off camera. People start to panic, running and ducking for cover behind chairs. Outside, the gunman had just started firing, but before he could get inside, a parishioner hit the shooter with their truck. And then 2 church staff members, including a security guard, returned fire, killing him. That guard was shot in the leg and is expected to recover. Police identified the gunman as a 31-year-old white male. They say he appeared to be in a mental health crisis and his motive is still unknown. The FBI is now assisting in the investigation. A federal judge is pushing back on the Justice Department, ruling that a man once mistakenly deported to El Salvador shouldn't be held in custody as he awaits trial. Kilmar Albrego Garcia was brought back to the U.S. last month to face human smuggling charges. The government argued he was dangerous, even tied to the street gang MS-13. The judge said Sunday there's no proof that he's a flight risk or a threat, and blasted prosecutors for relying on shaky evidence and hearsay. Still, Abrego Garcia isn't going free. He'll likely remain in immigration custody for now. The case has drawn national attention after the Trump administration deported him despite court orders, igniting a legal and political firestorm. Finally this morning, the Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions, topping the Indiana Pacers in Game 7 of the finals. It's the first title for the Thunder since the franchise relocated to Oklahoma City from Seattle in 2008. Regular season MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led all scorers in Game 7 with 29 points. Sunday's Game 7 was a rarity, only the 20th in NBA Finals history. Indiana had the edge at the half, up 48-47. But the Thunder turned the game around in the third quarter and ended up dominating the Pacers 103-91, a cherry on top of the best season in OKC's 17-year history. Now, basketball fans' eyes are turning to the NBA draft, which is coming up on Wednesday. These are your unbiased updates for this Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Lauren Keenan. Have a great day.